country where all people have
flag.
enough to live good lives, and where the people who undertake some of the most important caring work that binds together our communities and supports us all are properly paid. I am talking about midwives who care for mothers and babies before, during, and just after birth, early childhood teachers who are educating our tamariki at a time that is absolutely influential to their outcomes later in life, our primary school teachers, our secondary school teachers, our nurses who care for us when we are sick and injured, and the clerical and admin staff who do the mahi so that doctors and nurses can do their job and we can get the health care we need. Care and support workers like Christine Bartlett, those looking after our disabled whānau, looking after our elderly in retirement villages and rest homes. And there are others as well. These professions have been underpaid because they are mainly women doing the work. And that is not something anyone has debated. I know that Nicola Willis has acknowledged there is a need for pay equity. I know that members opposite women in the cabinet know and understand that there are professions that have been underpaid because they have historically been female dominated. But the coalition government of National Act and New Zealand First would have us believe it is unreasonable, that it is unaffordable or unsustainable to pay these people what they deserve. This bill, and the way it's been rammed through under urgency over the last 2 days, 2 weeks before the budget, is a disgrace. And the Green Party has always stood for fair pay. We oppose this bill. Closing the gender pay gap was one of the key priorities in our confidence and supply agreement with the Labour-led government from 2017 to 2020. And following on the work of my colleagues in the Green Party, Catherine Delahunty, Denise Roche, and especially Jan Logie, it was my honour and privilege to serve as Minister for Women. And I worked alongside Labour to pass the 2020 amendments to the Equal Pay Act that established the process for pay equity, that has delivered 10 pay equity claims that have resulted in absolute life-changing increases in pay to mainly women, to low-paid workers who do some of the most important work in our communities. And that legislation would have delivered another 33 claims covering hundreds of thousands of workers in this country if it weren't for the shameful legislation that we are debating right now. It is not us alone. The fight for equal pay has been going on for over a century. And the fight for a pay equity process that would actually deliver for women and men and others who work in these female-dominated professions was many years and even decades in the making. Others have, of course, referred to Christine Bartlett, who under the last national government, she and her union took a claim as a care and support worker that she had been underpaid because the sector is female dominated. And they won. She forced the then national government to reckon with this issue. And it massively changed the lives and financial circumstances of over 50,000 aged care workers and support workers. She was recognized as New Zealander of the Year in 2018. She's been recognized so many times. I acknowledge Christine Bartlett. I acknowledge the whole union movement, men and women who have been working to get a good evidence-based process that would properly deliver fair pay and pay equity, because that is what we need to do in order to close the gender pay gap. We need this process, which was world-leading. And now the minister refers to it being world-leading as though that's a reason to change it back, so we can go backwards. Well, Aotearoa New Zealand has often led, but not because of the people in power, because of the ordinary men and women who organized and fought for the right to vote for women, who organized and fought for rights when it comes to te reo Māori, and who organized and fight and continue to fight to close the gender pay gap and for pay equity. Our people and our country cannot thrive if we do not have people doing this work. It is public good work, and it is ridiculous to claim that the commercial economy is somehow independent of this public investment. The commercial economy relies on public investment in people and infrastructure. We don't have an economy if we don't have healthy people, if we don't have public education. This system benefits from underpaying workers. That is the status quo, and that is what we are up against. And that is what this coalition government is now promising to do for years to come. The most outrageous aspect about this bill being passed under urgency is that it completely cancels and annuls the work that has been done over the past 5 years since the legislation was introduced. And hundreds of thousands of workers are going to be affected by this decision to cancel those claims. It is deeply, deeply cynical. And we see you, Minister of Finance, Nicola Willis. We see you claiming that you're a good economic manager. And we see you ensuring that hundreds of thousands of workers who do some of the most important work...
Please apologise. It's about the government. It's not about individuals. Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Are we not allowed to refer to the decisions made by the Minister of Finances and the consequences they have on the people of this country?
Yes, except this is not the budget, and you were singling out the minister. So carry on without singling out the minister.
Madam Speaker, I would like to refer to this cabinet paper by the Honourable Nicola Willis when she was Minister for the Public Service, date of issue 25 June 2024, entitled The Pay Equity Reset. And I would like to quote from this because it is directly related to the legislation that's being brought today. And it says in paragraph 4, executive summary, pay equity costs to the Crown have become significant. And then it says in paragraph 7, changes are required to ensure there is a greater focus on transparency of costs and better management of claim costs. I propose a new fiscal management approach. It is very clear through the cabinet papers delivered by Nicola Willis in her role as Minister for Better Public Services, which disestablished the Pay Equity Task Force, which was located within the Public Service Commission, who did a lot of really important work at Mahi to help ensure that we were supporting closing the gender pay gap and progressing pay equity right across the public sector. So there are decisions that flow from individuals in the government and in the cabinet. And those decisions have consequences for hundreds of thousands of people. And they're the people who are not on hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're people who are on $60,000 or less. And they are trying to make ends meet under really difficult circumstances. And we all know that some of these professions, and 33 of them had active claims, had been systematically underpaid due to gender-based discrimination. And the only way we will ever change that is if governments take action. And the truth is that the government, as an employer, benefits from underpaying these people. They benefit from women being willing to do the hard carrying work. And they exploit these women and their work. They exploit them, and then they claim that we can't afford to pay them more. But all of this is a political choice. Governments are elected by the people, and we, as the people of Aotearoa and New Zealand, can show our values. If we're serious about closing the gender pay gap, if we're serious about fair pay, if we're serious about ending horrific levels of inequality and doing more for the worst off in our society, then we can do that. We can choose to do that. We don't have to sit back and say it's too hard, we can't afford it. We can make the tax system fairer. We can tax wealth, we can tax capital. Every decision this government has made disadvantages workers, and it benefits the largest corporates and the people who own the most, the landowners. And this decision is a decision, and I think it is worth mentioning that Nicola Willis, as a member of the opposition, when this bill was passed and I was the minister in the chair, spoke in favor of the bill that was passed, the amendment to the Equal Pay Act. And I know that they'll say that there was an SOP but the SOP reflected the changes and the issues that were raised at the select committee. So look, it's all smoke and mirrors. The reality is this is an irresponsible government that can't pay for their promises, that refuses to make sure that the wealthy in our country pay their fair share. They're supporting the profits of private businesses like tobacco companies, and they're telling teachers and midwives and nurses and early childhood workers and so many care and support workers that they don't deserve fair pay for the work that ensures that our country can thrive. I think it's a disgrace.
Honourable Nicola Willis.
I think we've lost Blake.
Oh, no, Blake.
He did send a message. Thanks. You put on there. Oh, don't know what happened there. Oh, thanks for coming on. Okay.
Yeah. No, Blake had to go. So I'm with Anne Genter, and again, I've put the cabinet paper in the chat so people can read it, what she's referring to. But yeah, this is just basically a big middle finger to women, as Anne Genter put it out. There's not much commentary I can really add on to what she said, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to...
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.